How you doing there? I'm Joshua with Eco Plumbers, and today I'm going to speak with you a little bit about the Halo 5 water conditioning system. As you can see here, there is a bunch of equipment here, but this is all you need. The reason why all this equipment is here is because this particular residence, which is actually my residence, I call it home, is on a well, and this is everything we needed to get, let's just call it what it is, worse than average water. I have had cartridges go bad in the shower, in the laboratory faucets, had to replace kitchen sinks. My water heater I had to flush every month, and basically the reason for that is calcium and micron sediment buildup coming from the hardness of the water. I had to, every month, fill this thing up with salt, with the 60-pound bags. Not a horrible thing for me, but may not be something that you particularly enjoy. But again, I've been able to replace pretty much everything here except for my aerator tank. And the reason that we do that is to eliminate some of the sulfur smell, not so much for taste. But the reason I can replace all of this and not have to put salt in here anymore, because this is actually not a water softening system. This is a water conditioner. It goes through a 4-stage media, a charcoal media, and then it passes through an ionizer. Now when it goes to that ionizer, which is just a fancy word for a magnet, it actually suspends the ions, the calcium ions, in the water, or the hardness inside the water, and it uniforms the ions on a molecular level. Kind of getting scientific on you here, but that's what it does. And as it uniforms them, it doesn't allow them to bond together anymore and cause the buildup that you're going to see. I can guarantee if you go to your kitchen faucet, turn the sprayer up and look at it, you're gonna see a buildup on there that you had no idea that was there. Some of you are gonna find some black stuff on there. We'll get into that another time. But what I'd like to do is explain a little bit today on why and how this thing works. Basically what you do is you tap in to the main water supply, mine coming from the well, and again, this is typically for city water, municipal water systems that are coming in. Now municipal water systems, basically majority of them treat the water with an RO system, giant RO system. Then because of the water that's in there, it is pure, they have to throw chlorine in it to kill bacteria and different things that are going to come out from there. And in addition to that, sometimes they actually take water that has not been processed at all and put it back in because they've taken out all of the minerals. What this does is different from that. This actually brings the chlorine level to an almost untraceable level. And yes, if you are on city water, 99% sure you're drinking chlorine and you're bathing and showering in it. Now I have 3 small children, and I would never take my baby and dip them in chlorine. If you were to test your water, you'd be shocked to see that that's what you're doing. This actually eliminates, like I said, to almost an untraceable amount of chlorine. There are around 300 contaminants that this will actually either get rid of completely or, again, to an almost untraceable amount, a healthy amount. Now all of this equipment here, including adding the salt, couldn't even come close to this water. Again, it's going to come through into the system, go through the 4-stage median, and then pass through the ionizer, and then come back out here and then run into your main water supply. This here is a drainage, or basically it's a regeneration tube. What this does is it's set on a timer. Again, you don't have to touch this. Once we install this, plug it in, and the reason that we do plug it in is because it does have a timer on there. And the timer is just as easy to set as your microwave. You hold the set button down for a few seconds and you're gonna see it, bam, now we set the time. And if you've ever set your microwave or set your stove, you know how to set this. Now mine is set to regenerate or kind of flush itself every 7 days, and I set mine for 2 o'clock in the morning because we're all asleep at that time. And I'll show you just about how loud it is, you just hold down the up and down arrows for 4 seconds, and then it's gonna flush itself out right out this tube on the ground. My camera lady is actually going to get wet now, so she's backing up. Now again, when this is regenning, it's just stirring everything up inside and getting everything to flush out. And it does this, again, maintenance free. You don't have to touch it. Once I set it, that's it, it's done. And it's gonna go ahead and regen and clean itself up. No more putting salt in your tank. No more buildup. No more having to worry about whether or not the elements on your water heater are gonna go. This is a permanent plumbing solution. The Halo 5 water conditioner. When you're speaking of conditioning and softening, you're talking apples and oranges. We're not taking out the minerals and putting in salt. We're actually conditioning the water to be healthy. Now, if you've got buildup in your lines, you're probably asking yourself, well, is my plumbing system too far gone? Absolutely not. Not only does this system stop the calcium and micron sediment from forming and eliminate the chlorine so that your plumbing water lines are now not being contaminated and corroding from the inside out, but it will actually eliminate the buildup that's in the lines. Essentially what happens is, just like an artery and cholesterol builds up inside of an artery, the same type of buildup happens in our water lines. So you begin with a water line that may be a 1/2 inch or 3/4. Throughout time, a little bit of calcium and micron sediment will build up around that water line. And then that acts as like a magnet as well. So as water passes by, it grabs onto more calcium and more micron sediment and just begins to make that hole smaller, causing leaks, causing damage, causing you to call a plumber like me to come on out and change that stuff. We know that by putting this in, you are not only protecting your plumbing system, but you're protecting your health as well. When this passes through the ionizer, again, I said that it will begin to eliminate that buildup, that cholesterol buildup in the artery, we could call it or liken it to. It's going to start eliminating that through what's called aragonite. Now, aragonite is a calcium and magnesium based film that's going to coat your water heater. It's going to coat the inside of your dishwasher. It's going to coat the inside of your washing machine, your laboratory faucets, your kitchen faucet. Every fixture that you have, that you've invested in, you are now going to be able to protect. And it's maintenance free. Thank you. Have a great day.